Charlie, give us some historical perspective, because if you go back, and we've been looking at the numbers in the last couple of days, say 20 years ago, we did lock up far fewer people than we do now. The minister there was reluctant to actually reveal whether he would like to see a higher or lower prison population, but how is it changed?
Well, if you go back to the mid-1990s, when actually crime was much higher than it is now, our prison population was half what it is, or pretty much half what it is today. I think it was around 42, 44,000. And it's now gone up to over 88,000. The projections are that it will go up even further. And the problem is, if it goes up even further, what that means is more prisoners sharing cells that were designed for one person, continuing to use these old, battered, crumbling, vermin-infested Victorian jails, which would make fantastic museums or flats, but really are not fit for purpose for the 21st century. But also that there aren't enough staff in place to be able to unlock prisoners and actually to begin to do the things with prisoners that are actually going to help them to not offend when they come out. Prisons have got a public protection duty to keep people locked up when they're inside, but they also have a public protection duty to make sure that they put in place the things that mean that when someone leaves prison, they're less likely to reoffend.
And reoffending rates
you won't
really
rehabilitate
high.
someone if they're banged up in their cell for
Oscar
22
Wilde,
hours a day.
after he left Reading Jail for 2 years hard labour, he wrote a letter to the press in which he said, in a Christian or in a civilised society, when a prisoner leaves, they should be embraced, they should be welcomed, they should be thanked, they should be congratulated. They are free, they have served their time. But in England, he said, when you leave prison, that is where your sentence begins.
But Salma, there is, though, politicians pick up on public concern, don't they? Do you think you're going to see at any point in the near term a politician making the kinds of arguments that Stephen's been making about rehabilitation and getting numbers down?
This is exactly the point. I mean, which politician, whatever party they're from, is going to put front and centre in their manifesto that they want prison reform and that's going to be their focus?
But they privately believe it and they just don't say it publicly?
No, I think there are some that privately believe it. I mean, actually, Danny Kruger MP, who's on the backbenches, I believe, he's done a lot on prisoner reform. So there are pockets of people who actually do care about this issue. But on a macro level, are they going to stake an election on issues like prison reform and rehabilitation? But just to go back to something you said, you asked the Justice Secretary, does he want to see a lower prison population or a higher prison population? The answer is very simple. You want a lower prison population because you want crime to be reduced and for fewer people to have custodial sentences as a result. And that is a longer train thing rather than just talking about prison reform.
And that's also a big challenge for any government and this government, probably as we're on the runway to the next general election.